Hey bosses, today we have a special kind of episode where I answer a question from one of you. The topic is how to approach more established authors about promoting your book. I hope that the information is useful and that you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Author Like a Boss podcast, the podcast for indie authors who want to improve their writing, up-level their marketing, make money with their books, and have fun doing it. Now, on to the show with your host, ALAB Barnard.
Hey bosses, I thought this week we'd try a different kind of episode. The reason for that is recently I got an email from one of you listeners, and she said in the email, I have a lot of questions for you. I would love to hear you do an episode where you are the special guest and you give some of your own tips on how to handle marketing. And so, Jill Malloy, I'm doing this episode for you and hoping that it helps a lot of other people who are listening. So here we go. I'm going to read the email and her questions, and then I will respond. So Jill says, I'm about to launch my book, and I've been wondering how to approach other authors who are more established. Is it okay to send them a free copy of my book or too pushy? How do you ask someone to blurb your book? And is it okay to do that with someone you don't know and think would enjoy it? If you're in an author's Facebook group as a legit fan, is it okay to send your book and thank her for the inspiration? How do you start making these connections when you have none? I think you have a lot of wisdom to share and would love to hear it. Thanks. Warmly, Jill. Okay, so basically, Jill, your question is about how to approach more established authors about promoting your book. So the first thing that I thought of when I saw this question, and because I'm doing a lot of mindset stuff right now as well, is, and especially around this exact thing. Okay, so a lot of authors, especially us as women, are hesitant to say our work is good enough. Like we live somewhat in this kind of imposter syndrome. Like, okay, I'm going to be an author, I'm a writer. And you look at other authors and you're like, oh, they're so good. And maybe you don't feel like you're good enough. Maybe you feel like you need to establish some more credibility before you can put your book or yourself out there with any confidence. So we're searching for this credibility. We're looking for this kind of, and in your case, you're kind of looking for this stamp of approval from a successful author. Now, I don't know if that's your mindset specifically, but I know it's something that a lot of authors would do because it's something I would do. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if mine's good enough, but if if Sarah J. Maas says it's good enough, then it's definitely good enough. Because I don't believe it in myself. I'm looking for some external validation to feel better about my own work. Now, maybe that's you, or maybe it isn't. But I recommend taking a few minutes or doing a little journal work or some self-evaluation to see if that might be why you want to reach out to these authors. Because I'm here to tell you, as someone who reads and works with women who are writing books all the time and who loves you, basically, okay, that you are good enough, your work is good enough, and getting this external validation from successful authors is unnecessary, okay? If you've done due diligence with an editor, beta readers, and proofreader and gotten good feedback from them, then that's enough. That's enough. You don't have to have somebody else who you have put on a pedestal say, yes, your work is good enough. Now, if that's not your motivation, and it might not be, if your motivation is pure marketing and like, whoa, I want to reach out to these authors because they'll be able to promote my book to their audiences. And that's entirely valid. Okay. But I just wanted to address that mindset thing because I know it's something that I have worried about. And I think a lot of women spend a lot of time in that space of not feeling good enough and wanting to get that credibility from other places rather than establishing their own. So you're good enough, I'm telling you. Also, personally, I believe that daily interaction. So let's go move on to the practicality of it. Okay. I'm moving away from the mindset and into the practical. Daily interaction with your ideal audience, I think, is far more impactful than a quote or a blurb from an established author. Okay, because your ideal audience are the ones who are going to read it. Now, if you can get the established author, if they promote it to their audience, then yeah, that would obviously be useful. But I think spending that time that you would, well, we'll go into it. Okay. So let's just say if you're set on reaching out to big name authors, then what you need to do is take the time to build a relationship. So this isn't like my book is coming out in a couple of weeks. I want to send it to them and hopefully they'll like it, because I think they'll like it. A couple of weeks is not enough time because asking them to read your book and blurb it is a big ask, right? That takes a lot of time to read a book, a lot of time for somebody that they don't know. So if you want to build a relationship with them, and that's what you need to do. You don't want to be somebody who's just asking. You want to be a friend. You want to be somebody who offers value to them. And some of the ways you can do that are by doing a review of their books and then promoting your review on your own social media and tagging them so that they can see that you're like, hey, I love this book. I recommend it. Here's my review. Everybody should buy it. And tag them so that they see that you are, visibly promoting their books, and so tag them so they see it. The other thing you can do is participate in their launches. When they have a launch coming out, or if they're looking for ARC readers, go ahead and sign up for that and participate and be there, like helping them with their success before you ask them to help with your own success, because that's how you offer value to them and kind of establish that relationship and be visible. Another thing that you can do is give away their book. So do a giveaway of their book and tag them on it, and maybe do one regularly, or maybe do a package of giveaways of their book. Like, hey, I'm offering, the first 3 in their series, do a giveaway of their book. They may promote it on their site or on their social media if you tag them, but also they're going to recognize you, especially if you do it regularly. You're going to become a name that they see on and off, and they're like, oh, Jill, she's really a fan. She's been promoting my books. She's been doing reviews of my books, and she's doing giveaways of my books. And I benefit from all of that. Mental note on Jill. Okay. So after a few months of that, because that's not the kind of thing that happens overnight. You don't build relationships overnight like that, especially when we're in a digital space. You can, if you are live. So I guess my other recommendation that I didn't even write down on this outline that I set up is if you can go to one of their events where they're live and spend time with them there, or I don't know, in person is easier to make faster relationships, but depending on how big the author is, you still might not get that opportunity like you want. So yeah. So stick with the giveaways, review of their books, launches, unless you see some opportunity for connecting with them. Maybe they're hosting a writing retreat. Then you can go. And if it's kind of intimate setting, then you'll be friends with them. Okay. But let's say after a few months of being a very visible superfan and offering lots of value, you can personally reach out. And this is kind of what I recommend, like on a Facebook message or something. Say, hey, I've been a fan for a long time. In fact, you inspired me to write. And you might share if you have a personal story. Now is the time to be vulnerable. And you say, my first book comes out soon and I'd love to send you a copy. Would you be interested? ? One of the ladies that I worked with, she had a personal story where she reached out to Nora Roberts. And she wasn't trying to get anything from Nora. She was just appreciating Nora because she says, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you because when I was, trying for a baby and that didn't work. And we were on the plane to go see if we could go adopt somebody, adopt our kids. Your books kept me sane, specifically this book. And this is why. And she went into it. Okay. Well, Nora got back to her and was like, hey, I'm so touched by your story and the fact that I was a comfort to you during the time when you were trying to, have kids. Would you like to be on my ARC team? And so now this woman that I've worked with, she is on Nora Roberts' advanced review copy team because she told that really genuine, vulnerable story with no intentions of getting something back, just to say thank you. She took that time, has bought all the books, and is saying thank you. And that made that connection because she made herself vulnerable like a real person instead of just somebody who wants something from someone. Okay. So after you've sent them that personal message, I'd love to send you a copy. If they say yes, send them a book. Okay. And follow up a little while later, after you think they've received it, and say, hey, I just want to see if you got the copy of my book. And then give them some more appreciation. Just be like, hey, I still appreciate. Just want to make sure you got it. But keep that connection. Like, hey, did you get it? Because that's the beginnings of a more personal relationship. Okay. And then continue being a super fan. Now, here's the thing. Asking for something then still isn't, like, you don't want to still be an ask. You still want it to be a give. So I recommend when you send the book that you send it as a gift. Like, you treat it as a gift. And here's the thing. When something is specifically a gift, you don't expect anything back. Like, you don't give a gift and then mark a thing saying, well, I gave that much, so now I need to get back this much. A gift is very special because you give it without any expectations, but there are no strings attached to a gift. Okay. So you give that book as a gift with all the love and appreciation in your heart for this author. Now, you can still keep on interacting with them on social media, and because you have not asked for anything, ironically, I don't know if I'm using that right, but interestingly, when there aren't any strings attached, people are more likely to want to reciprocate because they're feeling that sense of, oh, they want to that feeling of wanting to reciprocate. Like, when somebody needs something from you or wants something for you, you automatically want to say no. But when somebody offers something to you and you're like, okay, that's it. Thank you. Bye. Then they're like, oh, that person did something so nice for me, and they've been reviewing my books all over the place. Chances are that they may or may not. All they might do is take a picture on, and post it on their Instagram, or they might not do anything, or it might take them months to get to your book because they're on a deadline. Like, I've had people that I've asked to do podcast interviews with, and they're like, I can't right now. I'm on a deadline. And it's months sometimes before they're available, or maybe not at all. And that's okay. That's okay, because I know that my life is more important to me than their life is to me, like than my life is to them. So when you offer the copy, offer it with no strings attached, and follow up and keep the relationship. Keep yourself top of mind somewhat for them, but don't do an ask, because reading a book and reviewing is a big ask. It's a big ask because it takes a lot of time to read a book, and then you want to do something thoughtful for a review, and that takes a lot of energy. So just send it and see what happens. Maybe something good will happen, maybe not, but that's okay. That's okay, because you've been giving a gift. You've been being true to yourself. But okay, so off of that, I say don't make that the major part of your marketing plan. Don't make it the cornerstone of your marketing plan is getting established authors to review your book. Okay. There are lots of other ways to get fans and to be successful in your marketing, even around this kind of same idea. Okay. So one thing that you could do. So here's the thing. Think about all that energy that I was saying to spend on the established author, like how much energy, how much time that you're spending to build that relationship, right? Now, imagine that you spend all of that same amount of energy on your first super fans. Okay. So you have a couple of people who've read your book and loved it. And instead of spending all this energy on some established authors who are not going to be able to give you as much time as you want, because they are also authors and writing takes a lot of energy. Imagine you spend all this time, chatting with and doing giveaways and interacting with a couple of fans. Okay. And you spend a couple of months before your book comes out, chatting with them, incorporating their feedback into your stories, making sure that, you send them a free copy ahead of time. You're like, hey, I just wanted to see, and treat them like an established, give them as much love as you would to an established author. I can guarantee that those fans that they like your stuff are going to become your super fan for life, because you gave them that time and caring and attention and was like, oh, what do you like in the stories? What do you like? People, it has to be people who read in your genre, but still, imagine that amount of attention that you can give them. They are going to buy every single one of your books, and they're going to recommend them to everybody that they know. Okay. So I do recommend putting that time and energy and attention. If you've got tons of time and energy and attention, do it all. Okay. But if you have limited, go ahead and spend your time finding super fans and giving them all the love and appreciation that you would give your favorite author, because those fans are the ones who are going to be all over the place, making sure, reviewing all your books and buying all your books and being part of your success. The other thing that you can do, another tip, gosh, I have so many tips. Okay. Another tip, if you don't want to reach out, or if you're not getting good responses from, highly successful established authors, another good way to build your marketing and have successful marketing is to reach out to numerous authors that maybe have smaller audiences and don't have as much success as the established authors, but because they're not as big, it's easier to build a relationship with them. I've talked to multiple authors who they actually met their fellow authors in some Facebook groups, bonded. They're like, oh, we're soul sisters. We're bosom buddies. We're bosom author buddies. Let's write together. And now they promote each other. They actually do writing sprints together every day, right? They collaborate on their books together. Some of them books are co-written, and they grow their audiences at the same time. And I'm blanking on the name right now, but I think it's Laura Greenwood. I'll find it. But she and her buddies are all building their audiences together, and they've all gotten to some huge success within a year and a half, because they were all promoting each other. But they all started out at zero, a year and a half or 2 years ago. And now they're all successful because they instead of having one person writing their one book and then the next book and the next book, they're all writing books together. They're all promoting each other's books. So it's almost like when one person's success goes up, all four of them go up, because it's 4 times the books out. Because they're that close and their books are similar in genre, and they're all promoting each other to their audiences. So that's a really powerful tool that you can do by just reaching out to some other people who are starting out, but who have the same level of commitment as you. Okay, and let me scroll through my bullet points. Well, my next thing that I wanted to do is to say thank you, Jill. Thank you so much for sending your question. And I appreciate your feedback, and I appreciate that you like the show. You found me from Rachel Herron's How Do You Write? So I do recommend everybody, if you're like, how do you write? Go ahead and check out Rachel. She's amazing, and she has an amazing show. And okay, now it's my turn to ask for some feedback. So do you like the style of episode, listeners? Would you like to send in questions to me and get specific answers? Or do you prefer just author interviews? Or maybe a mixture of both? I would love to hear from you. I'd love to see if this is something that is useful for you. And if you'd like, I have lots of information to help you with. And I'm curious to see what would be most useful or enjoyable and motivating and inspirational for you. So if you can email me your feedback at ella@authorlikeaboss.com, I would love to hear from you whether this was useful or not. Thank you, Jill, again. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hugs and happy authoring here at Author Like a Boss.
If you love the Author Like a Boss podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.